Howdy, folks. Do a little smack talking here. I've got a comparison and a major test. So what I did was I took the 100 to 400 Mark II, and I have a Canon 1.4x extender teleconverter. This is the Mark II, not the Mark III. I'm too cheap to buy the Mark III. I wanted to put it up against the, I'm going to show you comparison images with similar ISOs between the two. Now, the 100-400 was running the 1.4x. I had that on there for all of these images that I'm going to show you. Okay? And I'm going to let you guys figure it out. I think it's pretty impressive for the amount of money. So let's get over to the other screen. And this is going to be rather, well, it's not scientific, but I'm just going to show you the images, and I'm going to give you a rundown as to the method to the madness, what I was going for. So this is the first set of images. This is a comparison between the 100 to 400 with the 1.4x extender and the 200 to 400 with a built-in 1.4x extender. So this image of the nutty hatch was taken on the 200 to 400 with a 1.4x extender. 560 millimeter, 905 millimeter equivalent, 35 millimeter equivalent on a 1.6 crop factor. All these were taken on the 90D. This was an ISO of 1600. Okay. Now it's pretty nice, right? So let's go to I believe see if I can find it. Okay, this is the 100 to 400 with a 1.4x. It's also a nuthatch. So this was an ISO of 2500. Same focal length, 560 millimeter, 905 30 millimeter equivalent. And the ISO is quite a bit higher. Okay. It's not the image I wanted to show you, but let me get to the other one. I think it's up here. Yeah. Okay, this is the one I wanted to show you. So this is an ISO 1250 with a 100 to 400. All right, and I'm going to go back to the other image too so you can see it. All right, and ISO 1250, and which is not far off from 1600, which is where the nuthatch was on the 200 to 400. So we'll zoom in on this female cardinal. Take a look at that pupil and iris. That's money right there, folks. That's the 100 to 400. With a 1.4x extender. Okay. Go back in quick. Yeah. That's pretty flipping good. So let's go grab the other one again. Okay, this is the 200 to 400. Light is a little different, more muted here. with an ISO 1600. Okay. I'm going to whip up to the other one. I'm going to load this quick, so take a good look. Take a good hard look at that. That's the 100 to 400 with a 1.4x extender. Would I use this? Heck yeah, I would. All right, now we're going to get into the down and dirty here. So what I wanted to do, and these images are real cack. All right, they're bad. What I wanted to do was, let me check this one. Yeah, this is one of them. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to test the 100-400, this guy, in really low light, and we're talking ISO of 10,000 to like 25,000. Light so low you wouldn't think you'd be able to pull focus at all. I did this last night just before dark, and I'll show you what happened. It's pretty awesome. The only time this failed to pull focus was on a red-winged blackbird, and it was against a dark background. There wasn't enough contrast there in that low light for it to actually pull focus, to lock. It was doing a little hunting. I eventually did get it, but it hunted pretty bad. Now we're talking really dark, okay, with a blackbird with a dark background. There's nothing for it to grab. There was no contrast or anything. Every other time it pulled focus, not quite as fast as a 200 to 400, but it was certainly adequate, and I'd hit the button and bang, there it was. And that was with the 1.4x on there. So let me get back over to the other screen. And keep in mind, these images are bad, all right? But that's not the point. I wanted to check its ability to focus and to grab what to lock on. So this was an ISO of 12,800, okay? And 1/3200th of a second, all right? So, I mean, the ISO was like way up there, and I saw these birds fighting, so I ramped up the shutter speed to see if and I did. I froze the wings. I pulled focus on this pine siskin right here, and it grabbed it instantly with this chaos going on, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. We're talking, it's dark, folks. That thing actually did it. Here's another one. ISO 10,000. Exposure was 1/800th of a second. Now this is zoomed all the way in. This is 560 millimeter with a 1.4x. Grabbed focus instantly on this guy. Instantly. It's dark. You can see seeds flying. See the crap flying back here? Yes, these two were, boy, they're pissy, That's pretty cool when you think about it. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is you think it's a little noisy? So this was taken from about 40 to 45 feet away. Female cardinal. Not a bad shot, I mean, whatever. And it's noisy. ISO 25,600. It locked onto her eye. I pulled focus right here, and bang, it grabbed it, hit the button, boom. One shot. If you zoom in, you can see how noisy it is. But you're going to say to yourself, well, it's soft. Well, heck yeah, it's soft. We're talking an ISO of 25,600. And the exposure was 1/1600th of a second. And yeah, I think, yes, it was. It was wide open. Aperture was at f8, which is basically wide open because the 1.4 extender, you lose one stop of light, so the lens goes from 5.6 to f8. Same focal length, 560 millimeter, 1.6 crop factor, 905 millimeter equivalent. All right, let's check out the Cardinal. This is ISO 10,000. 1/800th of a second. Meh. Yeah, it's noisy. It's noisy. It looked like, I think it pulled focus right here. Because if you look at the blades of grass, his beak is right over this blade of grass right here, and that's in focus. So it, even in a and this is what I wanted to show you guys, even in a complex environment where you have foreground and things in the background, it still locks on, even when it's that dark out. Of course, you're talking a little bit of contrast here. This is a red bird, right? So let me go to here. The old red belly, my buddy. Let's see, ISO 5,000, 1/1000th of a second. And the reason why I gained some stops in ISO is because of the brightness of the background and this stick right here. But that is not bad. It snapped to it, baby. Snapped right to it. Okay. Let's look at this one. Morning dove on the stick. Now you think, because this bird is primarily gray, and you got the gray background, the gray stick, you think that that thing would hunt like crazy. This is an ISO of 6400. No, it did not. Instantly, bang, right here. Let's come up here. I blew this a little bit. This is a white-throated sparrow. ISO 16,000. 1/1000th of a second. Same focal length. Yeah, it's noisy. But she grabs focus. She works. Okay. I think we are... Let me check. Okay, that's the white-throated sparrow. I think we're moving into highlight. Better light now. Let me check this one. Okay, this is the one I showed you. Yes, this is better light. 2500 ISO. 1/2000th of a second. Much better light. Let's grab this. I blew this one. It pre-focused on the grass. See this right here? It grabbed the grass. And I'm going to discuss something in a second regarding this situation that I found. It doesn't make sense to me, but it may help others. So let's go to Cardinal in a tree. Okay. Anybody who says that you can't get sharp images with a 100 to 400 with a 1.4 teleconverter on it, a Canon Mark II, is full of Badinsky. Look at the feather detail on that Cardinal. Good grief. That is slamalicious, man. That's damn close. That's damn close to the 200 to 400 with the one, and that's a $12,000 lens for crying out loud. That's stunning. Let's check this guy out. Yeah, look at this. No problem on the focus. None whatsoever. Yeah, let's grab this one. Oh yeah, baby. She's a little... Let me look around here. No, I think he may have moved. And this is something I'm going to get into. He may have moved. Well, this blade... can't tell. That may... No, it didn't pull focus ahead of him. Because this would be razor sharp. This was ISO 640. So this, because this isn't tack sharp right here, so it's soft, I suspect he moved. What was my exposure? Is 1/1000th. I'm going to get into that in a second. You zoom it out a little bit, it's acceptable. Let's go to this one. No, that's not the one. Blew that one. Okay, this was a nice little treat I had this morning. I blew this one too. This was 1/1000th. ISO 1000. I saw him show up. This is an Eastern Towhee. Eastern Towhee. Never seen one before. Tell you what, this homebrew bird sanctuary, songbird sanctuary I got here, man, it is pandemonium, I'll tell you. This next image I call love. This is money right here. All same lens, 100-400 with a 1.4x. Check that out, Johnson. That's love. They were just going at, I don't know what they were doing. It's like they were feeding each other something, or, I mean, come on. Is that freaking cool? Yeah. What do we got? ISO 400, 1/1000th of a second. Same folk. Nope. I was zoomed out a little bit. 476 millimeter, 35 millimeter equivalent, 770 millimeter roughly. Just a little bit shy of that. Pretty neat. They were actually pretty close to me. I mean, they weren't that close. They were probably 25 feet, 30 feet. Yep, we'll grab this one. I'm not sure what this is. I have to look in my book. 1/1000th of a second, ISO 400, 476 millimeter. Where the 1.4 was on it, 770 millimeter, 35 millimeter equivalent with a 1.6. Yeah. That's a whole lot of ass kickery right there. Yeah, there's a cardinal. Saw that already. Let's look at this guy. Oh, yeah. That's money, folks. That's money. Great combination. Okay, now I'm going to get into some things, and you can go back through and you can kind of skip through the video. So you can kind of look at the images. I tried to go slow so you could see them really good. There's one thing I need to mention about this combo. And that is, excuse me, this is not a 200-400 with a built-in 1.4x. It's not. It's one stop slower, and you've heard me say this, every stop matters. There's a couple things. One thing is, when you put the extender on this lens, you're stuck with two options as far as autofocus points. You have a very fine center spot, and then you have like a broader square. Now, this is one thing I wanted to talk about. I was shooting in the fine center spot, with the fine center spot selected in camera. I changed it to the broader square, so it's not so pinpoint accurate, and my hit rate went up. It actually grabbed focus. Like this shot right here, that was taken with the center, with the broad center spot, not the pinpoint center spot. And it seems like it performed. It didn't change the way it focused, to be honest with you. Well, focused really well. I mean, but we're talking bright light right there. But even in the dark, and I'm telling you, it was dark. When you got an ISO of 25,600, it's freaking dark. Technically, it shouldn't even have worked. It actually did. Which begs the question, could you use this for indoor sports? That combination? Yeah, you could. Sure you could. If you could run like anywhere from 1/800th of a second to 1/2000th of a second, you could probably get away with it. It's going to be grainy, noisy, but your ISO gets up 10,000 or more. That's what happens. So especially if you have to crop the image. So it will work. Now again, this is on an EOS 90D. I'm assuming it will work on other cameras just as well, or maybe even better. So there's one more thing I was going to mention. I can't remember what it is. But that was the most critical point, was the focus spot. It seems like the focus speed is a hair slower than the 200 to 400 with the 1.4x on the 100 to 400. Dog's going crazy. My wife's home. It's not a deal breaker. So don't let anybody tell you it is. It's not. So you're probably asking yourselves, why on earth would I waste my time with this combo when I have a 200 to 400? Because and by the way, all those images are handheld. Every single one of those is handheld. Not a gimbal, not a monopod, not a tripod. Now, and that's 2 days. I was out there all day yesterday, puttering, taking images. So the reason why I got that is that, again, that's for scouting. And most likely I'm heading up to a wildlife management area tomorrow. I'm bringing both lenses, the big dog and that one. But when I go out scouting, when I get up there, that's going around my neck, and the 1.4x is going in my pocket. So I wanted to really put it through its paces yesterday and today. And we're talking hours of shooting. And so I think I got a really good feel for how to set this thing up. The last thing I wanted to mention was, I don't know if it comes down to image stabilization. It's very good in the 100 to 400. It can't compete with a Tamron SP 70 to 200 2.8 G2 that I have. Can't compete with that. Even natively. Even the 200 to 400 and this cannot compete with the, I think it's maybe 4 stops. The G2 is easily 5 stops. Easily. And it's virtually silent. The Tamron. I know. It's not a Canon. I think that was a mistake that Tamron made, but it's not about that. It's a good lens. Cracker jack of a lens. I love that lens. So the last thing I wanted to mention was the shutter speed. It seems like I can't quite nail this down because it shouldn't make any difference. And this is why I mentioned the image stabilization. Wow, they're going crazy up there. The image stabilization works just as well with the 1.4 on there. But it seems like I had to run a higher shutter speed. Now, my gut tells me, because these are small birds, and this is why I wanted to do it with small birds. Small bird photography is hard. It is for me. And the reason why is because these birds are always moving. They are always twitching. Their heads are twitching constantly. They're up, down, sideways, freaking darting around, running along the ground. I mean, it's chaos. So I figured, what a great test to do with that lens and extender combination. I just don't know if it had to do with the shutter speed and the extender. You are talking the difference between like 600 millimeter with a 1.6 crop, somewhere in there with a 1.4 teleconverter. Well, what would it be? It'd be like 600 and something millimeter without the 1.4x on there. But with a 1.6 crop factor, I mean, you're talking 905 millimeter. You're jumping to. Same as on the 200 to 400. But there's something different about this combination than the 200 to 400. There's something different. It just seems like I needed higher shutter speed. Or it was what I call a perfect storm, where it seemed like a lot of the captures I went after, the birds were moving and they were twitching. They were because I'd wait for them to move, and then I'd hit the button when I felt like I got the right expression. I like going for expressions, right? So if you look at this, that's a great expression. I don't like regular portraits. I try not to shoot regular portraits of birds, right? Like this. If you take the seed out of his mouth, that's a portrait. I like that. So you got to be quick on the button, and you got to anticipate when it's coming. And they start doing stuff like that. And these are just single captures. These are not. I do not have my drive mode when it was in single capture mode. I did not have auto drive running or anything. So that's about it, guys. I hope that made sense and somebody out there found it helpful. Is it a worthy combination? I don't know. You tell me. Look at that. Anyways, we'll leave it there. Catch y'all later. I'll be back with much more. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see and you like hearing me yap and ramble and mumble and go on my diatribes and my scatterbrained method of thinking, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to click the little notification, the bell icon, so you know when something goes up. Take care. Happy shooting. Get out there. Get out there. It's fun. It's fun. I'm having a ball.